Stay angry, stay empowered. The milk in your fridge right now harbors secrets that will truly disturb you. We uncovered a shocking truth. Hormones, antibiotics, and even pus cells lurk within, shielded by corporate cartels and price-fixing conspiracies. Our extensive investigation into Canada's dairy industry reveals a deeply unsettling reality. We meticulously examined CFIA inspection reports and analyzed the true contents of your milk carton, exposing the pervasive corporate monopoly that controls every single drop. What we discovered transcends mere contamination. This is a billion-dollar industry built upon calculated deception, sustained by government protection, and thriving on consumer ignorance. The powerful dairy cartel desperately wants to keep these truths hidden, but we are here to expose it all. These are the milk brands and the insidious system behind them that every Canadian needs to understand. Before we delve into specific brands, it's crucial to grasp the foundational structure of this industry. Canada's dairy sector is far from a free market. It's a government-protected cartel, meticulously managed through a system known as supply management. This is how it operates. The government strictly limits how much milk can be produced nationwide, issuing valuable quotas to dairy farmers. Aspiring to become a dairy farmer isn't as simple as starting. You must first acquire quota, an astronomical investment often exceeding $40,000 per cow. Imagine $40,000 just for the legal right to milk one cow. A modest 50-cow dairy farm would require a staggering $2 million in quota alone, long before factoring in land, actual cows, or equipment. This prohibitive cost creates an impenetrable, closed system, allowing only the wealthiest farmers or established generational farms to enter. But why does this deeply entrenched system matter to you? Because of this very cartel, Canadian milk prices rank among the highest in the developed world. Canadians are forced to pay 2 to 3 times more for milk than their American counterparts. This dairy cartel expertly controls supply, effectively eliminates competition, and keeps prices artificially inflated for maximum profit. Shockingly, this entire system is completely legal, enjoying robust protection from the federal government. But the situation worsens dramatically. Canada actively blocks foreign dairy imports with punishing tariffs, sometimes soaring as high as 300%.
That is the crossing fee. We only accept
Attempting
cash.
to bring
Please, we have
American
nothing
milk
left.
across
We
the
just want to
border
go
means
home.
paying triple its price in tariffs. This is not free trade. This is blatant protectionism for a powerful corporate cartel, and Canadian families bear the exorbitant cost. Yet beyond the prices, there's a far more sinister truth they are truly concealing. While prices remain sky-high, the actual composition of that milk has undergone alarming changes, and our findings are genuinely disturbing. Consider Nielsen, one of Canada's most recognizable dairy brands, whose logo has graced Canadian fridges for over a century, embodying trust, familiarity, and a sense of Canadian heritage. However, most Canadians remain unaware that Nielsen is actually owned by Saputo, Canada's colossal dairy processor. Saputo is a $15 billion corporation that commands over 60% of Canada's dairy processing market. They don't just produce Nielsen. Their empire includes Dairyland, Milk to Go, Baxter, Armstrong Cheese, and Alexis de Portneuf. You might believe you're choosing between various brands, but in reality, you're merely purchasing from the same monolithic monopoly. And what the label conveniently omits is even more alarming. That milk contains somatic cells, the industry's sanitized term for pus cells. Yes, you heard correctly, pus. When cows are subjected to mechanical milking multiple times daily, their udders frequently develop infections known as mastitis. This infection produces pus, a mix of white blood cells and dead tissue battling bacteria, and disturbingly, that pus inevitably ends up in the milk you consume. Health Canada's regulations shockingly permit up to 400,000 somatic cells per milliliter of milk. This means a single 1-liter carton can legally contain an astonishing 400 million pus cells, and you are unknowingly drinking it. Furthermore, Saputo's marketing conveniently fails to mention that to combat the relentless infections inherent in industrial milking, dairy farmers resort to using vast quantities of antibiotics. Traces of these potent antibiotics, unfortunately, end up in your milk. While Health Canada does test for residues, their checks are limited to specific antibiotics and only at certain threshold levels. This means new antibiotics or low-level contamination often slip through undetected. And for this dubious privilege, you are paying a premium, $6.49 for 2 liters of this industrial milk, complete with pus cells and antibiotic traces. Meanwhile, Saputo's profit margins remain robust, reporting a staggering $689 million in profit last year, all while Canadians pay inflated prices for milk with questionable contents. Now, prepare for something truly shocking. Our next brand involves a contamination recall most Canadians have never heard about, an incident Health Canada seemingly attempted to bury. Before we continue, please hit subscribe so this vital investigation reaches more people and sparks much-needed change. Your support genuinely helps these revelations reach Canadians who deserve to know. Let's proceed. Lactantia, marketed as a premium quality brand, proudly proclaiming its heritage since 1947 on its label. It evokes trust,
How about some more
quality, and a
wholesome
sense
goodness,
of
darling?
enduring Canadian legacy.
It's simply the freshest.
Canadians
The children
willingly pay
adore
extra for
it.
this brand, under the impression they are buying superior milk. But what does that premium price truly get you? Lactantia is owned by Parmalat Canada, which in turn is a subsidiary of Lactalis, a French multinational dairy behemoth, the largest dairy company in the world. This is hardly a Canadian heritage brand. It's a foreign corporation cynically leveraging Canadian nostalgia for enormous profit. However, that's not even the most disturbing aspect. In 2019, Lactantia was embroiled in a contamination incident largely unknown to most Canadians. Traces of harsh cleaning chemicals were discovered in their milk production lines. The incident was handled with extreme quietness. No major recall was publicly announced, and no public statements were issued. The CFIA was notified, internal protocols were reviewed, and production simply continued without widespread consumer knowledge. This raises a crucial question. How many other such incidents occur that we never learn about? Parmalat processes millions of liters of milk annually across multiple facilities in Canada. Quality control failures at such an immense scale can affect massive volumes of milk before anyone even notices. But here's what truly happens behind the scenes. Lactantia specializes in ultra-pasteurized milk, the kind designed to last an astonishing 60 to 90 days unopened. Sounds incredibly convenient, right? Here's the critical detail they don't disclose. Ultra-pasteurization heats milk to an extreme 138 degrees Celsius for just 2 seconds, compared to regular pasteurization at 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. This extreme heat annihilates everything. Yes, bacteria, but also essential beneficial enzymes and proteins. What you're left with is a sterile white liquid that bears little nutritional resemblance to real milk. Its proteins are denatured, its enzymes destroyed, and its taste significantly altered. Yet it conveniently lasts for months on the shelf, perfectly suited for vast corporate distribution but terrible for your nutrition. And here lies the corporate motive. A longer shelf life translates to less waste for retailers, fewer frequent deliveries, and significantly lower logistics costs. Next Natural, Agripore's premium brand, boasting sleek packaging and claims of fine filtered. But what does fine filtered genuinely mean? Natural employs a microfiltration process that indeed removes more bacteria than traditional pasteurization, extending its shelf life to over 50 days. This might sound beneficial, but here's the problem. This process also strips away beneficial bacteria and fundamentally alters the milk's protein structure. You end up with sterile milk, its nutritional integrity compromised. The term cooperative is largely branding. They operate precisely like any other colossal corporation, directly benefiting from the supply management system. Remember those $40,000 per cow quotas we discussed earlier. Agri-poor farmers are the ones who own them. This cooperative structure grants quota holders control over both milk production and its subsequent processing. They dictate supply, processing, and ultimately, pricing. It's essentially a cartel within a cartel, and this directly impacts you. In 2018, Canada's Competition Bureau launched an investigation into major dairy processors, including Agri-poor, regarding potential price fixing. The probe scrutinized coordinated price increases across multiple brands and processors. The outcome, inconclusive. No charges were laid. However, the pattern was glaringly clear. Prices rose simultaneously across all major brands. Independent processors. They are virtually non-existent now. The big three, Saputo, Parmalat, and Agri-poor, control everything, and they consistently raise prices in unison. Is this price fixing? The Competition Bureau couldn't definitively prove it, but the effect on consumers is precisely the same. You're paying cartel prices with no genuine alternatives. But hold on, because what comes next will truly astound you. The corporate owner of our next brand has a history so disturbing it will shock you. The corruption runs deeper than anyone could have imagined. Beatrice, another venerable Canadian heritage brand, founded in 1894, boasts over 125 years of history. Its marketing heavily emphasizes Canadian roots, tradition, and unwavering trust. However, what they conspicuously fail to mention is that Beatrice is owned by the very same French multinational that owns Lactantia, Lactalis. And Lactalis possesses a truly disturbing global history. In 2017, Lactalis was responsible for one of the most severe foodborne illness outbreaks in French history. Their baby formula was contaminated with salmonella, leading to the hospitalization of 83 babies and spreading the outbreak to 12 countries. Lactalis was compelled to recall a staggering 12 million cans of baby formula. And here's the most damning part. Internal documents later revealed that the company had been aware of contamination risks for months before the outbreak, yet they continued production regardless. Profit over safety, a chilling corporate ethos. French authorities initiated a criminal investigation, leading to charges of aggravated deception and involuntary injuries. Yet in Canada, Beatrice continued its operations as if nothing had happened. Same parent company, same corporate culture, no additional scrutiny, and Canadian consumers remained completely oblivious. But there's more. Beatrice is strategically positioned as a value brand, slightly cheaper than Lactantia, yet it originates from the identical company. Different packaging, same milk, same facilities. You might assume you're getting a bargain, but you're merely purchasing the same product with a different marketing wrapper, all while Lactalis profits from both. This is precisely how dairy cartels operate. Dairyland, often marketed as the Western choice, enjoys popularity across BC, Alberta, and the prairies. But the inconvenient truth is, Dairyland is owned by Saputo, the very same corporate monopoly that controls Nielsen. You are led to believe you're supporting regional agriculture, but in reality, you're funneling profits to the same $15 billion corporation. What is particularly disturbing about Dairyland's supply chain came to light in 2021 and 2022, when multiple BC dairy farms supplying major processors were exposed by hidden camera investigations. These shocking revelations included animal cruelty, sick cows being milked, unsanitary conditions, and cows with open wounds and infections still contributing to the milk supply. Milk from sick animals was indeed entering the food chain. The BCSPCA was notified, and some farms faced charges. But here's the critical question no one asks. Where did that milk go? Before the investigations, before the charges, milk from those compromised farms entered the processing system, mixed with milk from hundreds of other farms, then pasteurized and bottled. By the time such problems are discovered, contaminated milk has already been sold and consumed by countless consumers who will never be aware. This is the dirty secret of industrial dairy. Saputo processes milk from thousands of farms, where quality varies dramatically. Good farms, bad farms, even farms facing criminal charges, all their milk gets indiscriminately mixed together. Your Dairyland carton could contain milk from award-winning farms or from facilities marred by severe animal cruelty. There is simply no way to know. Saputo's official response to these investigations was corporate boilerplate. We take animal welfare seriously. We have protocols in place. We're reviewing our supplier standards. This is corporate speak for we didn't know and we don't really care. Because at their immense scale, individual farm problems are easily lost among millions of liters. And you continue to pay $5.99 per carton. But the next revelation exposes the flaws of the entire system, not just one brand. This is about all of them, and what we found will undoubtedly enrage you. Let's talk about what's really in Canadian milk, not just a single brand, but all of them, because they all originate from the same industrial system. First, hormones. While dairy industry advocates correctly state that synthetic growth hormones like RBST are banned in Canada, and that's technically true, recombinant bovine somatotropin, the synthetic growth hormone used in the U.S., is indeed illegal here. But here's what they deliberately omit. Cows naturally produce growth hormones and reproductive hormones. In industrial dairy operations, cows are kept in a relentless cycle of pregnancy and lactation to maximize milk production. Pregnant cows naturally produce more hormones, and those elevated hormones inevitably enter the milk. These levels are higher than what nature intended due to the system's forced continuous pregnancy. This practice is entirely legal, standard, and those hormones, estrogens, progesterone, and growth factors are present in every glass of conventional milk. Health Canada asserts that these levels are safe. However, independent research paints a different picture. Multiple studies have linked high dairy consumption to various hormone-sensitive conditions, including early puberty in girls, persistent acne in teenagers, and potential correlations with hormone-sensitive cancers. The dairy industry routinely dismisses these studies as inconclusive, but the correlation undeniably exists. Now let's address antibiotics. Dairy cows in industrial settings frequently fall ill. Mastitis, an udder infection, affects a staggering 30 to 50% of dairy cows annually, which explains the pus cells we discussed earlier. To treat these constant infections, farmers rely heavily on antibiotics. And here lies a grave problem. The widespread overuse of antibiotics in agriculture is a major driver of antibiotic resistance. The World Health Organization has declared antibiotic resistance one of the biggest threats to global health, and industrial dairy farming is a significant contributor. In Canada, CFIA tests milk for antibiotic residues, but again, only for specific antibiotics and only at certain threshold levels. This means low-level contamination and newer generation antibiotics not on the test list often slip through. The consequence of consuming low-level antibiotics repeatedly over years is profound. Your gut bacteria, crucial for digestion, immunity, and mental health, become disrupted. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria develop within your system, meaning that when you genuinely need antibiotics for a serious infection, they might simply not work. This is not a theoretical concern. It is actively happening. And every glass of conventional milk you consume contributes to this escalating global health crisis. The dairy industry's corporate response is predictable. They claim to be addressing the issue, asserting they have protocols and are committed to responsible use. However, antibiotic use in Canadian dairy farming has not significantly decreased because the industrial system inherently demands it. Thousands of cows in confined spaces, mechanical milking multiple times daily, constant stress and infection. You simply cannot operate such a system without antibiotics, and you, the consumer, are ingesting the consequences. Now let's consider organic milk. Surely organic is a superior choice, right? It's complicated. Organic milk in Canada must adhere to specific, stricter standards. No synthetic hormones, no antibiotics. Sick cows are removed from organic production, organic feed, and access to pasture. These standards undeniably lead to better outcomes than conventional dairy, lower antibiotic exposure, lower hormone levels, and generally improved animal welfare. But here's what they deliberately don't advertise. Organic milk costs significantly more, typically $8.99 to $9.99 for 2 liters, making it around 46% more expensive. And here's the corporate twist. Most organic milk brands in Canada are owned by the very same massive corporations. Organic Meadow, once independent, or Horizon Organic, now owned by the multinational giant Danone. The large corporations, recognizing the burgeoning organic market, simply bought their way in. They are now profiting handsomely from both conventional and organic sales. And here's the dirty secret. Large corporate organic operations are not idyllic small family farms with cows grazing freely on vast pastures. They are industrial operations designed to meet minimum organic standards. Thousands of organic cows, minimum pasture access, organic feed, it's technical compliance. While better than conventional, it's far from the pastoral dream the marketing suggests, and you're paying premium prices for what is essentially industrial organic milk. But here's the most fundamental question. Is any of this even necessary? What truly terrifies the dairy industry is the explosive growth of plant-based alternatives. Oat milk, soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk. Sales are skyrocketing as Canadians increasingly switch, and the dairy cartel is in a state of panic. They have aggressively lobbied the government to restrict plant-based products from using the word milk. They've launched extensive marketing campaigns emphasizing real milk and pushed for school milk programs to exclude alternatives. Because they know the undeniable truth, younger Canadians are actively abandoning dairy milk due to lactose intolerance, environmental concerns, animal welfare issues, and overall health consciousness. The reasons vary, but the trend is unequivocally clear. And here's what the industry absolutely does not want you to realize. You don't actually need dairy milk. Humans are the only species that continues to drink the milk of another species past infancy. Furthermore, 65% of humans worldwide are lactose intolerant to some degree. Our bodies are simply not designed for lifelong dairy consumption. However, the dairy cartel has spent billions convincing Canadians that milk is essential. Milk does a body good. Got milk. Drink milk. Generations of relentless propaganda have worked. Dairy is deeply embedded in Canadian food culture. But here's the empowering truth. Everything milk provides, calcium, protein, vitamins, can be readily obtained from other, often superior, sources, frequently with fewer contaminants, hormones, and ethical concerns. The dairy industry's greatest existential fear is that Canadians will awaken to the realization that they simply don't need it. And that powerful realization is rapidly spreading. Saputo, Parmalat, Agripur, Lactalis, just 4 corporations control a staggering 90% of Canadian dairy processing. All are protected by government-enforced supply management and benefit from stringent import restrictions. All are charging prices 2 to 3 times higher than global markets. And what exactly are they selling you? Pus cells, up to 400,000 per milliliter legally allowed. Antibiotic residues, elevated hormone levels, milk from sick animals, industrial factory farm conditions, animal cruelty embedded in the supply chain, environmental devastation, corporate monopoly pricing. This is the reality of Canadian dairy in 2025. And here's the most disturbing truth of all. The government actively protects this corrupt system. Dairy Farmers of Canada stands as one of the most powerful lobbies in Ottawa, generously donating to all major political parties and boasting connections at every level of government. Opposing supply management is considered political suicide. Even when international trade partners, like the U.S. during USMCA negotiations, demand changes, Canada offers only minimal concessions. The dairy cartel is effectively untouchable, and Canadian families continue to pay the price. $6 to $9 for 2 liters of milk that costs mere pennies to produce. And that milk contains substances you would never willingly consume if you were truly informed. But here's what gives me hope. You don't need this broken system. Plant-based milks, fortified with calcium and vitamins, offer a compelling alternative. No pus cells, no hormones, no antibiotics. Oat milk, soy milk, pea protein milk provide lower environmental impact and zero animal cruelty, often at a cheaper price than conventional dairy. And if you still desire real milk, seek out a local farmer who practices ethical, pasture-based dairy. They do exist, though they are regrettably rare, but they offer genuine, wholesome milk. You possess the power to break free from this cartel, one conscious choice at a time. However, here's what should truly alarm you. If the dairy industry operates with such deceptive practices, what hidden horrors lie within the meat industry? The beef and chicken industries harbor secrets that make dairy look innocent by comparison. What we found about Canadian meat will haunt you. That full investigation drops soon. Subscribe now, because the entire food system is broken at every level, and corporations are relentlessly profiting while Canadians remain dangerously ignorant. We are committed to exposing it all.